But in order to love your neighbor as yourself, first you would have to know thyself. Hi everyone, welcome to Mindful Adventures. The first question: I want to be free from the society. The last year has shown how divided we are as a human race. But when I try to be free, it always seems like I'm dragged back in. What to do? Again, I want to be free from the society. The last year has shown how divided we are as a human race. But when I try to be free, it always seems like I'm dragged back in. What to do? Well, I invite you to take a look at a different way of relating to the society. It's far too easy to overgeneralize and group people together. I think this is one of the ways that we navigate this life is through categorization and generalization. And really, this idea of the society is a concept that is held in mind. And this concept and this idea that you're holding in mind and thought, the belief in a society, is a collection of individuals, beings, that is an ever-evolving process. It isn't fixed. We are not fixed beings. We are constantly in a process of experiencing, perceiving, and evolving. The society. And I understand what you mean about wanting to get free from the society, because you look around the world and not everything is so peachy. Instead of calling it the society, we'll call it the neighborhood. Neighboring nations, neighboring countries, neighboring trees, neighboring creatures, neighboring properties, the neighbors. And there may be a little bit of mischief in the neighborhood, but in order to love your neighbor as yourself, first you would have to know thyself. So I'm more interested in this I that wants to be free. I think it's a beautiful desire. It is the true desire to know oneself, to know the self. And in that comes true freedom. I want to be free from the society. The last year has shown how divided we are as a human race. So you would like to be divided from the society because the last year has shown how divided we are as a human race. All of the division that we see is arising due to a division from within. So let's go, putting aside the society, putting aside the neighborhood, putting aside any ideas or concepts of what others or so-called others are up to, since all is the self, just check in with oneself. The I thought is arising, saying I want to be free from the society. Divided from the society because the society is divided. This is an apparent contradiction to the true desire. What you really desire is freedom. And in trying to be free, you're pulled back in. I think that's what you said. In trying to be free, when I try to be free, it always seems like I'm dragged back in. So just check in. You see that you want freedom. And in trying to be free, it seems like you're dragged back in. So don't try. Stop trying. If you stop trying, not trying to make the feeling something else, or trying to be a certain way, or trying to make the society look like this, or trying to make your neighbors behave like that, or trying to fit in. Stop trying. And in stopping trying, there's space for what is to be seen. That is freedom. Freedom. When our being, which is naturally free, freedom is intrinsic, tries to be free, then freedom divides itself into freedom and then trying to be free, or what that appears to be freedom. And in this division, it creates the polarity that gives the appearance that you are being dragged back in. And what are you being dragged back into? You are freedom, but you're being dragged back into the concept, the idea that you're holding with the illusory mind, and it's giving you the opportunity to know yourself as freedom, not as free. Free is fixed, free is defined, free is limited to one's perceptions, beliefs, and desires. Of what free means, but you are freedom. Don't worry about what the society is doing. The masses are invested in maintaining illusions to avoid the nakedness of the being. Not everybody in the masses is very diverse. But again, the division that you are seeing in the society is just a reflection, a projection of the concept that you're holding in mind called the society. Stop trying, and freedom is. And in knowing thyself directly, not because I say so, No. Don't just hang on the words of this response. Nothing that I can say will be exactly what is the truth of your being. Just pointing, that's all. A little bit of food for thought. And in knowing thyself, from that place, light up the neighborhood. The next question: how do I get over childhood emotional neglect from emotionally unavailable parents? Again, how do I get over childhood emotional neglect from emotionally unavailable parents? Well, I understand that it is a sensitive topic. For a moment, we're going to put aside childhood, and emotionally unavailable parents. Let's just take that out of the question. How do I get over emotional neglect? How is method? What's the method to get over emotional neglect? When I think of getting over something, you know, when you have like maybe some clothes fell on the floor in the apartment, your shoes are all disorganized and just tossed around, and you want to get over it. So you step over it, and then the things remain neglected. So let's change it from get over to go in. Don't get over it, just go into it. Go inside in self-inquiry. Sit in silence and ask, okay, where is the emotional neglect? Where am I feeling it in the body? Is it arising in mind as a thought? If it is arising in your thoughts, then just observe, witness in silence. Allow the thoughts to arise, and then allow the thought to subside. No need to go into psychoanalysis. The story, the narrator, sometimes those thoughts in the narration reinforce the emotions, and the emotion and then the narration are playing together, and then that just blinds one from what is here now. The body will respond. The body will let you know where there is emotional neglect. Do you feel it in your heart? Do you feel it in your chest, in your stomach? As a headache? Or as that feeling that you want to cry but you're not crying? I don't know if anyone's ever experienced that. It can be a little bit annoying sometimes, you know, when it's like you feel like you want to cry but there's no tears, and you're like, okay, I'd rather just cry instead of feeling that tension behind the temples. But however it is appearing for you, don't get over it. Don't get over it. Go into it. Feel what you feel. Allow yourself to marinate, not too long, but to really burn in it. Let it process. Fully. Give space. So, and do not, or I don't want to sound like I'm telling you what to do, but I recommend that the method to getting over emotional neglect is to not emotionally neglect yourself. And in really living the experience, not thinking about the experience, not analyzing the experience, not seeking methods to get over the experience, but in living the experience, the healing arises naturally on its own. And while you're in, the mind may say, well, what about the emotionally unavailable parents? And this happened in childhood, and that happened in childhood. You say, thank you, mind. Okay. Bye-bye now. And then the story may start to play itself again. But what happened at the age of 6 when this and that? And how come they were not listening to you? And now look at where you're at. And yada, 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 yada. Thank you, mind. Bye-bye now. I'm in the heart space. Thyself. When the attention is diverted to the story, it may appear that the attention to the narration is right attentiveness and loving attention, but this is emotional neglect. This is neglect. Yes. When the mind chatters about what was or what will be, and the attention is divided between oneself and that, then the one that is here may get stuck up here and neglects what is, and wholeness, the healing, the freedom, the peace. Can be missed in the here now. Just don't neglect yourself. Similar to the first question, stop trying. The trying may also appear to be a neglect. The thing about childhood versus adulthood is that I think many have seen that there are children who behave like adults or have a certain maturity about them, and there are adults who behave like children or have a certain immaturity about them. It's not a judgment, just an observation. So these ideas of childhood and adulthood, and then the stories that we carry about our childhood, even though that we are here now, as an ever-evolving, ever-expressed, ever-revealing process, that these concepts may be useful to the psychologist, to the educator, or government institutions when it comes to allowing for responsibilities, privileges, so many different uses of these concepts and ideas. But it may not serve the being fixed blocks of time. Nothing is fixed, everything is moving. So childhood can be put to the side. There's emotional neglect. The emotionally unavailable parents I choose not to go into that story. Just be here now. Not trying to fix, just see and allow yourself to feel what you feel. That is processing. That is release. And it may help to consider, what would you rather have or feel? I think oftentimes when we feel limited to a certain number of possibilities, it's good to say, okay, so what does this look like for me? What does the freedom and what does not being emotionally neglected look like? Just as a step, if you need a step to move beyond limited possibilities, I'd say there are no steps to know thyself. However, it helps a little, just a little bit, play with the imagination. But even that which appears in imagination and appears in thought, the dualistic play of opposites, the polarities, of observing, okay, emotional neglect versus emotional wholeness and satisfaction. It would be wise not to cling to the alternative, because then that may be an expectation that is projected. And once that expectation is there and it's projected on what is being perceived, then even that may not suffice for what it is that you really desire. True freedom, true peace. Moving between these polarities, that movement is taking place in the immovable, the unchangeable. So just go in and see for yourself. See yourself. May all be wholeness, healing, and freedom. Namaste.